Guys, let's talk about if a contract becomes presented to us at the convention, and now we're forced with the option to ratify it. So that's what this video is about. Okay, so Article 16 of our national NLAC Constitution, which is titled Collective Bargaining, it tells us that ratification should be a mail vote, USPS mail, and the ballot should be mailed only to regular members of the NLAC. Retirees don't have the right to vote. It says the ballot shall provide only for the acceptance or rejection of the entire proposed agreement. So we can't take bits and pieces of it. And that's why we have collective bargaining. I would assume that these things are being ironed out. So it's interesting because if there's one part of Article, I don't know, say 16 of a discipline or a grievance procedure that we don't agree with, but we agree with an increase in pay, we kind of got to take everything together. Kind of makes you think. The ballot committee shall be called to the national headquarters by the national president, commencing with the conclusion of negotiations, for the sole purposing of monitoring and observing the dispatch, receipt, and tabulation of ratification ballot, and to determine the validity of challenge ballots and any objections to the conduct of the election. I didn't know that. So if there was some, I don't know, illegal stuff going on, the committee that's appointed by the president can review it. Interesting. A committee appointed by the president. Here's the good part. Here's the juicy part. Membership, acceptance, or rejection of a proposed national agreement shall be by majority of a valid ballots returned by the voters. When such majority votes to accept the proposed agreement, no other action should be required by the union membership. So if 80% of the members say we want it, that's it. There's nothing we could do. There's no dissenting opinion. The people that didn't agree, we just got to suck it up, buttercup. And then it says, suitable and timely notice of such results shall be made and certified to the membership by the ballot committee through the postal record and or the NLAC bulletin. Here's the part I'm interested in. When a majority of valid ballots returned by the voters reject the proposed agreement, the ballot committee shall A. cause suitable and timely notice of such results to be furnished and certified to the membership through the pages of the postal record and or the NLAC bulletin, and B. furnish and certify the same information to the national president. Okay, so we got to tell Renfro we don't like his agreement. Now it keeps going. It says, when the majority of total votes cast is for rejection, the NALC negotiators, who are the negotiators? That's the president, and I want to say the executive committee. When a majority of the total votes cast is for rejection, the NALC negotiators shall inform the USPS and reopen negotiations within 5 days after the vote is tallied. So we get an offer, they send it to us in the mail. It's probably a whole month process right there. Send all our votes back, they count them. It's being observed by the national committee, ballot committee, who was appointed by the national president. It's kind of fishy if you're following me. And after they come up with all the tallies, then they have 5 days from that point to contact management and reopen negotiations. If negotiations are not reopened, the NALC negotiators shall determine if there will be a binding arbitration, an immediate work stoppage, or a designated job action. That's interesting. So If the post office doesn't agree to come back to the table with us, we go to arbitration, we stop work, or a designated job action. Not sure what that is. If negotiations are reopened, they will not exceed a period of 15 calendar days, which is better than the 440 days we've been waiting now, at which time a second ballot should be mailed to each member for ratification or rejection. So now they negotiated, they changed some things that I guess they figured we didn't want. How do we tell them what we don't want? I'm not sure. They have 15 days to send us another ballot. If the membership rejects the second ballot, so now we got a second offer, and that's why I said don't always go with the first offer. The second offer could be better. If the membership rejects the second ballot, then the national president, Brian Renfro, the one who negotiated the first contract that we just rejected, will determine if there will be binding arbitration, an immediate work stoppage, or a designated job action. Okay, so that's the interesting part. So if we reject the first contract, the NLAC negotiators determine if there's going to be arbitration, a work stoppage, or a designated job action. If we reject the second offer, then the president has the power to determine if there's going to be arbitration, if we're going to stop, or a designated job action. That's interesting. Section 2 of Article 16 says, in the case of a nationally sanctioned work stoppage, the president shall issue no recall to work until a full and unconditional amnesty is granted to all participants in that work stoppage. Interesting. In the case of a nationally sanctioned work stoppage, the president shall issue a no recall to work until a full and unconditional amnesty is granted. Well, we all know Brian Renfro isn't going to do that. He's not going to make us stop working because he wants this contract to benefit himself. And Section 3, Article 16 says any national collective bargaining agreement entered into between the NLAC and the USPS shall be ratified by the regular members who shall be non-supervisory employees in the Postal Service. So that gives us a little insight of our options here. So 1, the membership accepts the contract, it becomes ratified. 2, the membership votes against it, in which there's a time frame where the union has to contact the post office management. Post office management has to reopen negotiations. If they don't reopen negotiations in 5 days, then we can go to arbitration. The National Association's negotiators first have the right to call a work stoppage, which is pretty powerful. I don't know who these negotiators are. Or they could do a designated job action, which I don't know what that is. And if we reject the second offer after we go back to negotiations, then the president has all power. It seems the president has the power to send it back to arbitration, to start a work stoppage. It's pretty interesting. So, but that's all right. So that's what we have as carriers. We have that option. We don't have to blindly accept this contract. We don't. Like, it's unprecedented that a contract, we're in unteetered waters here. This is a moment to make history. If this contract doesn't represent a fair wage for us, for the work that we've done, for the time in where we are, with inflation and the cost of everything, and the amount that we get paid doesn't equal out our COLAs, whatever the case may be, we do not have to accept it. We have recourse. And I'm not encouraging anyone to do anything. I'm just saying it's written down. There are options, and the options are here in case these things happen. And there are steps, and it says it here. If one is rejected, there's a second. If a second is rejected, then we go back to work. Okay? So we don't have to blindly accept anything that's not in our favor. it's interesting that this information is readily available to anyone that seeks it. Yeah, guys. So don't forget, every member has a vote. Now, for those who choose not to vote, it's a disservice to you as a person. It's a disservice to you as a member of the association. It's a disservice as you to a person who provides service to the American people, because at the end of the day, the people that suffer the most will be our customer, because they are the ones who benefit from the service. Our customer being the person who pays for the postage and the person who receives such service, the person that we deliver the letters to. So it's interesting that, we're not actually in a position where we have no power. We are the power. We are the people. We are the rank and file. We elect these members. We give them the power of trust and servants. But with elected officials comes the scrutiny of its membership, and that's what we do. How do we voice our opinion? With our vote. Okay, so if you want change, you got to vote either for or against. That's your opinion. I'm not here to sway you anyway. The most important thing is that you do vote. You do utilize your voice. You make it known that you stand with or against something, and that's it. As long as you fight a good fight, and it's something that strikes with who you are inside of yourself, you done your job. Anyway, guys, it's been another one. Thanks for checking it out. I'll try to post something again soon. And again, this was just to, the collective bargaining aspect of of, of who was in bargaining for us, as members of the association. Of course, we elect these presidents, and the president elects committee members, and the committee members oversee, the election process to make sure that there's no fraud or anything fishy going on. And then it comes back to us where, we have the power to vote. So as long as these people are, truthfully and doing the right thing when counting the votes, and they're not discarding votes that don't fit their agenda, then our vote is extremely important and powerful in that manner. So guys, do what you got to do. I don't know if we have a contract yet, but we will. There will be a contract, and then this is where this becomes important. What do you do? Do you vote for? Do you vote against? And do you know what happens after you do either? All right, guys. Until next time.